Hello and welcome to the channel. Be sure to share, like, and comment down below. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button for daily videos on news and politics. Former federal prosecutor details brazen plot by FBI and DOJ to exonerate Hillary and frame Donald Trump. According to an interview with the Daily Caller, a former federal prosecutor says the truth is starting to seep out about the Obama administration's brazen plot to exonerate Hillary Clinton and frame an incoming president with false Russian conspiracy. So let's take a listen in on Joe Gianova, a former federal prosecutor, as he tries to connect the dots on the former Obama administration Justice Department and FBI officials who may have violated the law. So let's take a listen in and hear what he had to say about this whole situation.
So connect the dots for us and tell the significance of the fact patterns that are starting to get unraveled. Why is this a big deal?
It's a big deal because I have a saying that the FBI used to spy on the Russians. This time they spied on us. What this story is about, it's about a brazen plot to, again, exonerate Hillary Clinton from a clear violation of the law with regard to the way she handled classified information with her private server. Absolutely a crime, absolutely a felony. It's about finding out why, as the Inspector General is doing at the Department of Justice, why Comey and the senior DOJ officials conducted a fake criminal investigation of Hillary Clinton, followed none of the regular rules, gave her every break in the book, immunized all kinds of people, allowed the destruction of evidence, no grand jury, no subpoenas, no search warrant. That's not an investigation. That's a Potemkin village. It's a farce, and everybody knew it was a farce. The problem was she didn't win, and because she didn't win, the farce became a very serious opera. It wasn't a comic opera anymore. It was a tragic opera, and she was going to be the focus. What this is about a lavabo, a cleansing of the FBI and the upper echelons of the Department of Justice. We're going to discover that the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, her deputy, Sally Yates, the head of the National Security Division, John Carlin, Bruce Orr, and other senior DOJ officials and, regrettably, line attorneys, people who were senior career civil servants, violated the law, perhaps committed crimes, and covered up crimes by a presidential candidate. But more than that, they tried to frame an incoming president with a false Russian conspiracy that never existed, and they knew it, and they plotted to ruin him as a candidate and then destroy him as a president. That's why this is important. That's why connecting the dots is important, because the FBI now has to be completely reconstructed from the ground up. The men and women at the Bureau are great people. That's not who we're talking about. We never have been. We are talking about people like James Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Page, Baker, Prystep, who was a name nobody knows. He's the head of the Counterintelligence Division, and he was the one who was involved in planning this entire crazy thing involving Fusion GPS, the false dossier, and creating evidence. This is what people have to understand. What the Bureau did was, by working with Fusion GPS and giving contractors access to highly classified information which they had no legal right to see, they needed to create something they could give to the court, the Foreign Intelligence Court, so that they could get wiretaps and surveillance taps and email taps and phone taps on the Trump people, so that if there was anything, they could find it out. Of course, there was nothing. There never was anything. And they created false facts so that they could get surveillance warrants. Those are all crimes. Every single one of those acts constitutes a crime because it was done not for a legitimate law enforcement reason, not for national security reasons, but to create a false case against a candidate, Donald Trump, a president-elect, Donald Trump, and a president, Donald Trump. The FISA court opinion of April 27th of 2017 outlines a series of illegal disclosures to contractors among those contractors were Fusion GPS and CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is the company that was used to bleach Hillary's computer. CrowdStrike, if what is being reported is true, and I've seen 2 reports about CrowdStrike being among the private contractors that were given access to raw 702 incidental collection of American citizens under FISA warrants. If that is true, they have committed crimes. The Bureau who gave that information committed crimes. There is huge civil liability for CrowdStrike and for the FBI officials. And there is, right now, there's at least 2 lawsuits pending against Mr. Steele, the former MI6 agent who wrote the Steele dossier at the payment of Fusion GPS. Fusion GPS has been sued. I expect if these facts come out from the FISA court showing that these contractors got this information, they will all be sued. Now, they may declare bankruptcy and not be able to pay, but the people don't realize that this is already on the public record, that these things happen. The question which has been blanked out from this opinion, as you can see, this is all dark, all through the opinion. What they've done is they've blanked out the names of the contractors and the names of the FBI and DOJ officials who broke the law. That is going to come out. That's what Nunes has. He has all that information now. He knows what's in these blanks that the court blanked out. The court did the right thing. It's not supposed to reveal that. But once you start doing oversight, constitutional oversight, those blanks go away to Congress. And we will know shortly who the private contractors were that were allowed to break the law by the FBI. When Comey goes to visit President Trump at the White House about the Flynn case and all that, remember, the president is president at that point. There's no reason for Comey to be doing anything. If the president wanted to meet with him, he didn't have to go. He went and he told the president, for example, about the dossier. Now, why would an FBI director tell a president about this salacious document, which Comey admitted under oath there was no proof for, no validity? He was playing J. Edgar Hoover. He was blackmailing the President of the United States. He was saying, I know all about this. Now, I'm not going to say anything about it, of course. Of course, if it ever gets out, it's just going to be awful. Do you want me to stay in my job? I mean, Comey is a person so devoid of a moral compass. He describes himself as Thomas Becket. I said to somebody the other day, he's not Thomas Becket. He's the assassin, Henry II, who killed Thomas Becket. That's who Comey is. He's an assassin. He's a political assassin.
So when you follow the money of Fusion GPS, if the DNC and the Hillary Clinton campaign paid Fusion GPS, and that was part of the dossier that went to the FISA court, and it also was marketed through the journalistic community, some people think that Fusion GPS was paying a lot of left-wing journalists who became propagandists to add these things to their stories. Have you heard that?
Yeah, well, I think the understandable storyline that Fusion GPS paid journalists to then go out and tell a story is the complete antithesis of American journalism and the First Amendment. We don't do that in this country. But if they did, and it's pretty clear that they paid a lot of money to a lot of people, among whom were some journalists, there's just no doubt about that. That's a scandal of immense proportion for the American journalism community, who seem to care little about that. The only thing the American journalism community seems to care about is destroying Donald Trump. It's fascinating to me that the people who cared so deeply about governmental institutions in Watergate could care less about them now because it's another Republican who's being destroyed. This is as bad as it gets. When you have the government, the FBI and the DOJ being absolutely corrupted because of their motivations, and when you have the journalistic community being bought, it seems to me that's pretty bad for all the institutions involved. And journalism is now below Congress in terms of approval ratings. This is not going to help them. There have been rumors about the reason GPS fought the House Intelligence Committee subpoena was to prevent, not who their clients were, that's nonsense. They were protecting the people that they paid. And it's pretty obvious that Fusion GPS, they can pay any anybody they want for information. They're not a government agency. They're not buying. If they want to pay for information and they think it's truthful or not truthful, but they want it, they can do that. It's clear that the reason they tried to protect, and they went to court to try and stop the House subpoena, but they lost in front of Judge Richard Leon, was to protect to whom they were paying money to get information. I have read reports, I don't know whether they're true or not, that they paid a number of journalists to spread information about the dossier. It's not going to be long, though, because the House now has all of those records. They've been reviewed, and Devin Nunes, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, has now and will start next week briefing individual members of the House in closed sessions about what they've discovered, and I'm sure that what will leak out is who Fusion GPS paid. Fusion GPS, by the way, is really a joke. They wrote an op-ed piece in the New York Times about a week ago criticizing the House committee and saying release all the transcripts and everything. Of course, everything that was released was blanked out because it had information that they wanted protected. I think that what's quite clear is that they were a private intelligence service. They sold their services to the highest bidder. That was the Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee, and eventually the FBI, which used them and bootstrapped their information into FISA applications. And it is not too far astray to say that they became an arm of the conspiracy willingly and knowingly, and that they engaged in activity which was clearly designed to destroy a human being. And it's pretty clear, according to James Comey, and maybe one of the few truthful things he said in all of his sworn testimony, that there's nothing verified in that report except that somebody like George Papadopoulos, Carter Page, took a trip, a perfectly legal trip to Russia. Didn't do a thing wrong, didn't do anything wrong when he came back, didn't do anything wrong before he went. Hope he wins his lawsuit.
Alright, so there you have most of that interview. I hope you enjoyed the video. But other than that, that's going to do it all for this video. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.